Hi, and welcome again to this second follow-up video on my original video on how to access your IMAP folder using GoOut2. And this video aims to answer another question, and is now that you show us how you can use the MSAL, the Microsoft Authentication Library, the Microsoft Identity Client package, and my problem is I want to persist the refresh token. I want to persist the information somewhere. So when I relaunch my application, I don't need my users to perform again the code authentication flow. This can be a good or not good scenario. It depends on your application. If you want your user to periodically reperform authentication, you can directly delete your credential after a certain amount of time. But the problem is, if you use your own code as the original video, you have your duty to preserve and save your token. But with Microsoft Access Library, since you don't need the secret code, so you don't see the secret code, how you can save everything, how you can save your account data such that it can persist a reboot of your application. Let's see how. Luckily, the code is very simple. I created an example MSAL token cache helper. The idea is you receive an iToken cache. It's a class from the Microsoft Access Library, and you can set an interceptor, the before access and after access. So what I can do is, whenever the Microsoft Access Library want to verify if it has a token in the cache, and usually it's a memory cache, so if you reboot your application, all your login are gone, you can persist somewhere. So I simply use, for this example, a JSON file, and before access notification is simple. I check if I have a previously saved file. If I have the file, I use the read all bytes to read the content of the file as binary and use the deserialize MSAL v3 of the token cache. So Microsoft Access Library has a nice deserialized MSAL3 that do all the magic for passing from some internal class representation of the data to a stream of bytes. So you don't need to worry about the format. And the after access notification is the very same. It's the opposite. If the args has state changed, so it means that the cache changed from when I load it from my file and when someone accesses the MSAL again, such as I've acquired a new access token, I've used the refresh token. When everything changes on the cache, this has state changes is true. So I simply take the file, I serialize everything in memory and as a stream of byte, and then I can open the file stream, zero the file stream, so I can delete everything that was present before, and I write again the new format. So thanks to these two very simple methods, I'm able to save cached credential of Microsoft Access Library. Now, this example is absolutely not production code because you need to save this data encrypted. So you need to use whatever encryption strategy you have in your program to encrypt the data and not save in clear, because anyone that can access this file will access the HS token and the refresh token, so it can impersonate the account that gives permission to your application. So usually you need to save this in some secure store. So if you are in Azure, if you are in the cloud, you can use some secret store. If you are on-premise and you have no secret store available, at least use some encryption mechanism to save this encrypted. Now I save in clear format just to show you what's inside the file and how easy it is. Using this class is really simple. After I've created my iConfidential client application, I'm simply pass the user token cache property of the application to my helper, and everything is done. So now let's move on, and the application started. Now I'm going to refresh my application, and I've got the create model async it. This is where I create my model from my MVC application. And now I create my MSAL IMAP model, and I want to ask, hey, have you some accounts cached? So I step and my before access notification get called. I do not have a file. I don't do anything. So what's happened is it check everything. So MSL as account is false because I don't have any account, and I press continue. So the page will show my generate authorization code flow. I'm generate, and do you see each time I create a new model async, I will go to do before access notification. So I change the breakpoint to avoid anything too much, and I'm going to continue. I've generated the link and I press the link. I'm already logged in, so I press click. I get the get token, and now since the get token will acquire a real access token and a refresh token from Microsoft server, the MSL content, the state change true. So what I'm doing is I have the data, you see, as some binary data, and I write everything as byte array into the file. So I open the file, I set length to 0 to delete all previous content, I write all data, and I'm press continue. And okay, now I have my token. So if I'm going again to the original page, and you see this time when the controller is going to create the model, is going to ask to the Microsoft client, hey, do you have any access, do you have any client, any account in your cache? And now I see, yes, my token file, my file exists, so I can read all bytes and deserialize. So actually, I'm reading the file from disk. So yes, you know, when I open the page, even if I didn't perform the generate authentication code and everything, I have an actual token. And that's the same as before. The Microsoft Access client has the token in memory, but this time I persisted on this. So if I press acquire new token from MSL, I have my my helper, and it always call the before access notification. So I remove the breakpoint, it take, and you see I have after access notification called again because now it generates another token using the refresh token. So it changes something in the cache. Let's see what's inside the cache. As I told you, I'm saving all the credential in a file that is absolutely not production-like because it's in clear, but here you have, in the same folder of the application, I have my MSL token JSON. Now, let's see what's inside it, and I can open with Notepad++, it's JSON. So I can use my JS tool, JS format to format. And so you can see I have access token, I have account ID, information, client info, client secret, and I have credential type, run target, cache expire, blah, 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 blah. So everything that it's related to token, it's stored inside this cache. So as by default, the Microsoft library stores in memory. Now I've changed this two method of loading and saving, and now I'm persisting on disk. Now to verify that everything works correctly, I've shut down the application. I can start it again. So it start again the application. Now I have my browser where I'm still logged. I'm requiring the homepage. And as you see, I have the button acquire new token from MSL that it's enabled because even if I shut down and restarted the application, I could reload the information, the secret, the refresh token from the file. And as you can see, I can require access token again and again and again, thanks to Microsoft Access Client Library. Now, as a small bonus, I show you in the code, in the example code, you will find another class called encrypted MSL token cache helper that show how you can, in Windows environment, because it uses protected data library, in Windows environment, how you can save securely the data even on a file with very minimal code. So the code is always the same, but you call protected data unprotect and protected data protect. And you have a warning telling you that this code is not reachable on all platforms. This is a specific, the protected data is the DPAPI, Windows is the data protection API that works only on Windows, so it does not work on Linux. And it allows you to take a stream of byte and encrypt using an optional salt. I've not used the salt here, you can use, but yeah, the idea is you have the data protection scope current user, so the Windows data protection API mechanism will use an encryption key that is bound to the user. So you need to log in, you need to have the user credential to being able to decrypt the message. So if you run the service on a specific service user and the person that can access the machine, that can access the software, has no right to work on that user, they cannot decrypt the data. Also, if the file is exfiltrated for some reason, the file is encrypted. As an example, I show you what happens. Now I have the MSL tokens encrypted, and it has an extension binary. And if I'm going to look with Notepad++, it's indeed binary. But yeah, I can put a breakpoint here, and I can make the program start again. And now I'm using encrypted MSL token cache helper to register my cache helper, not the standard one, it's the encrypted one. So now I go to my to Edge and I refresh my page, and as you can see, the token file exists. It read the encrypted content, and then it will decrypt the content and pass the decrypted content to the deserialize function. So yeah, you see, I have the button acquire new token. I can press acquire new token, and I can go away and move on, remove the breakpoint, and actually I have my token. So acquire new token from Sal, okay, and there we go. So now I have a way of saving the credential of the acquired, the acquired credential of the client, of the users, in a more secure way. As I told you, if you are on cloud, on Azure, on AWS, you have a very more secure way to store data. But if you are in Windows, you can use the DPAPI for a simple encryption. Or you can have an encryption in your database. You can have an encryption method in your database. But please, if you save this information, be sure you save it encrypted. And that's all for this video. You learned how you can persist your acquired credential with the Microsoft Client Library on a simple file, but you can extend to save on database or wherever you want. And I'll show you how you can use the simple DPAPI in Windows to encrypt the content. So given this in the previous video, you are now able to use the MSL library in your production code to access your IMAP folder and letting the unofficial library handle everything regarding Go Out Show. I hope this video, you like this video, and I'm waiting you for the next one. Bye-bye.